Hi, everyone. It's great to have you here. I'm Teresa Yunkin, and I'm deeply committed to bridging the gap between healthcare and technology, making it easy, accessible, and impactful for all. At least I hope I am. You'll find me here helping healthcare leaders stay ahead of the curve when it comes to new technologies, and as an informaticist, bridging technology concepts and business operations. Whether you're struggling with data initiatives, trying to make informed decisions about new technologies, or dealing with the constant changes in the market, I got you covered. Welcome to my fall series where I cover my most frequently asked questions. I'm sure you can guess what this week's question is. It's what is happening in AI right now, especially at OpenAI. This was a real crazy weekend and had everybody glued to X or Twitter, YouTube, anywhere that you could get information. Over the past few days, we've witnessed a series of events that read like a Silicon Valley thriller. It was complete with unexpected twists, it had high stakes power plays. It was really unexpected. And most of what was being published probably over the last days has been a lot of conjecture, speculation, and confabulation. I really want to stick to the facts. OpenAI is a business. There are people involved. These are people's real lives. So I really just want to stick to the facts. What I really want you to take away from this is that the truth really lies with all the people who were in the room having the conversations. All right, so let's get started with this timeline. I'm going to go from Friday to yesterday, which was Tuesday. And it could actually be changing as I speak right now. I don't know. It seems every time I check X or Twitter, something new has come up. I think this is still going to be unraveling, and it just gives us a lot of really good business lessons to be learned watching from the outside. All right, so before the firing, this was Friday. Sam Altman had been working on transforming OpenAI from a not for profit entity into a commercially successful business. Nonprofits and commercial or for profit businesses tend to operate a little bit differently. On Friday, there was this statement that came out from the OpenAI board, and it was on their blog. And it pretty much just said that they had made the decision to fire CEO Sam Altman. And that was a surprise to both Altman and the investors and the employees. After that happened, Greg Brockman, OpenAI's president, resigned in protest on the same day because nobody knew what was going on. As we know, OpenAI, because I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, they had a huge infusion of cash. So Microsoft, along with other significant investors such as Thrive Capital and Tiger Global Management, started to do some work to bring back Altman. Now, it's really important because Thrive Capital was backing an employee stock purchase, which meant that the employees were going to be pretty well off. So now we know why everybody's up in arms about this, because it wasn't just the CEO, everybody at the company was involved. The investors expressed their discontent with the current board. They started looking for new people to replace the board, but nobody knows as of just yet. So on Saturday night, there was some conversation. There were rumors that OpenAI could reinstate Altman and Brockman. Microsoft CEOs Satya Nadella was in contact with Altman. Microsoft has said we're backing Altman and Brockman. It doesn't matter where they go. And it makes sense. They said they'd also back OpenAI. Makes sense. So there was discussions on how the company was governed. The investors in OpenAI had concerns and that needed some new direction in leadership. There were two real issues as I listened with my strategy ears on, right? Number one, OpenAI Foundation was not for profit. Then they spun off and had this OpenAI for profit structure. But it wasn't really clear how they were interacting together or who had say or power. It just wasn't really well defined. Lesson number one: should the corporate structure be reexamined and members addressed? I would think so. Number two, Should the governance be restructured to avoid these types of corporate crisis? I'd say yes. If you don't have a good structure, you really don't have good governance. And you could see that because nobody knew really who was in charge. And we saw exactly what happens when you don't have good governance and structure that leads to corporate crisis. Number three, throughout these couple of days here, the employees heard nothing from the board. Should the board be responsible for communicating to employees? My answer is yes, of course they should. These are your employees. These are the people that you're supposed to value. The brain drain, if people were to leave, is incredible. So it was kind of frustrated for the board not to think about these things. But you know what? Maybe they did and decided to do whatever they wanted to do. I don't want to speculate. So the possibility of further resignations loomed. They faced an internal crisis of talent. The board members who were there were just four of them who voted. Ilya Sutskever, Adam D'Angelo, Tasha McCauley, and Helen Toner. Now they're well known as being the board who almost destroyed AI. It's really eye opening to see the missteps and maybe the misguidance that they had. They say it was passion for wanting to slow down. Sam Altman is definitely a deal maker and knows how to grow a company. OpenAI was supposed to provide an update to the staff on Sunday morning. By mid morning, that didn't happen. Everybody was just waiting. The investors, the employees, Sam Altman and Greg Brockman, Microsoft. So on Monday morning, most of us woke up to the news that Sam and Greg were going to go to Microsoft, head up this new division. And then we've got all these tweets and X's that are going around. By Tuesday afternoon, yesterday, most of the employees, so like 700 out of the 750 plus OpenAI employees, they signed a letter and they demanded the resignation of the board. And they said that they would follow Altman and Brockman wherever they went. It's all really interesting to hear about, but I know you're thinking, so what does this mean for me? They're really good lessons learned here. The efforts that were put forward and the non efforts that were put forward were very palatable. So the events at OpenAI are more than just a corporate drama. They're a microcosm of the challenges facing most of industry today. It's a narrative that touches upon the very heart of technological progress. We've got corporate governance, we've got ethical considerations. I talk about that all the time. And it's a very rapidly evolving landscape of artificial intelligence out there. This can provide some valuable lessons for any kind of business, whether you're a large organization, if you're a small and medium business owner. If you want to integrate AI into your operations, and I've talked about this, it's a thread that I continue to pull through my FAQ series and my learning series on generative AI that I did over the summer. There is the importance of ethical governance. Now, the situation at OpenAI underscored the need for strong ethical governance in the AI space. Businesses should prioritize establishing clear ethical guidelines and governance structures for AI use. You want to ensure that your AI strategies align with broader social and ethical norms. That's inside and outside of your organization. Number two, staying informed and agile. Because the AI industry is rapidly evolving and there's frequent developments in technology and policy, small business owners, medium business owners, corporations have to stay informed about these changes and they need to remain agile in their approach. You need to adapt to new technologies, new regulations, and the market shifts. So, what happens if OpenAI goes away? The work that you did isn't lost, right? You pivot, you look for a different LLM, you look for a different supplier of a chat bot, right? You just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You've made investments in this and you know that there's an ROI. So you make the pivot, you use a different technology, use a different vendor. It doesn't mean that the industry is going away. It just shows that the AI industry is like every other industry. There's ups and downs and upheavals and twists and turns. But as a leader, you need to be thinking strategically about this. And that leads me to number three, long term strategic planning. Now, the uncertainty surrounding OpenAI's future highlights the importance of long term planning when incorporating AI into your business operations. Companies should consider the potential long term impacts of AI on their business models, their workforce, and industry landscape. And you need to be preparing for both opportunities and challenges, as we've seen. We've always left the what if exercises at the brainstorming table. Maybe it's time that we start to really imagine what we never dreamed could happen because what happened with OpenAI. My rule of thumb is if you thought about it, you can plan for it. And that's what I teach my organizations as well. Lastly, most importantly, out of everything else that we've learned over this past 5 days, is that relationships count. They're so important. Everyone wants to be heard, everybody wants to be known, everybody wants to be valued. In personal relationships, in your work relationships, no matter where you are, we are human at our core. And that's what we want. As I sign off for the Thanksgiving holiday, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate each and every one of you in my life, whether we met last week, 30 years ago. I'm glad that our paths crossed because you've had an impact in my life, whether you know it or not. Take one day, don't check your email, don't check your phone, be present with the people that you're with. So I'll see you next week and happy Thanksgiving.